1284. A small town in Germany. That day, the people of the town lost their children, and history still does not know why. Yes, you heard that right. I am talking about the Pied Piper of Hamelin. Nearly 800 years ago, the world was a very different place. There was no electricity, no modern medicine, no real sense of safety. People lived with fear as a part of daily life. In northern Germany, beside the river Weser, stood a quiet little town called Hamelin. A small town, brick houses, narrow streets, church bells echoing through the air. But inside this peaceful town, there lived an invisible enemy: rats. Not hundreds, not thousands, millions of rats. At night, people could not sleep. Under the floors, inside the walls, across the streets, only the sound of running rats. Food stores were empty, grain was destroyed, children were bitten and bleeding. Diseases began to spread. Slowly, Hamelin became a sick town. The people tried everything. They set traps, they used poison, the priests prayed. Nothing worked. Then one morning, something strange happened. At the town gate stood a man, a stranger, wearing colorful clothes, a strange hat on his head, and in his hand, a flute. There was no fear in his eyes, no urgency on his face. He said to the people of Hamelin, "I can rid your town of rats." At first, the people laughed. A flute player against rats? But when no options remain, people begin to believe the impossible. The town leaders called him in. A deal was made. If he could remove the rats, he would be paid a large reward. The next morning, the piper stood in the middle of the town. He raised the flute to his lips. The sound that came out was not ordinary. It was not a song, not a familiar melody, but it was something. Within moments, rats began to emerge from drains, from houses, from cracks in the walls. One after another, hundreds, thousands. No one spoke. All eyes followed the flute. The piper began to walk. The rats followed him. Through the streets of Hamelin, toward the river. One by one, the rats jumped into the water. In a single day, Hamelin was free. There was celebration, laughter, tears of relief. The piper was called a hero. But when the time came to pay him, the leaders refused. So much money for a flute player? This is not magic, they said. They paid him only a small amount. The deal was broken. The piper showed no anger, no argument. He simply said, "I will return." June 30th, 1284. It was a religious festival. All the adults were inside the church. Only children remained in the streets. That was when the sound of the flute was heard again. But this time, the tune was different. There were no rats, only children. One child stopped, then another, laughing, playing. 130 children followed the piper out of the town. No one stopped them. No one realized in time. The piper led them toward a mountain, toward a cave. Legend says the mountain opened. The children entered. Then the mountain closed. The children never returned. When the town realized what had happened, it was too late. 130 empty homes, 130 grieving mothers, 130 fathers with hollow eyes. That day was written into history as the day the children were lost. Some say the children died. Some say they were sold. Others believe the piper was not human at all. He was something else. Even today in Hamelin, there is a street where music is forbidden because people believe the sound of a flute may one day return. So the question remains, who was the Pied Piper? A trickster? A man seeking revenge? Or one of history's darkest mysteries? History remains silent. But the Pied Piper was not the only time music or movement took control of human beings. 2 centuries later, something even stranger happened. In the summer of 1518, in the city of Strasbourg, part of the Holy Roman Empire, people began to dance. Not in celebration, not in joy, they danced because they could not stop. It began with one woman. Her name was Frau Trophäa. One morning, she stepped into the street and started dancing. No music, no crowd, just her body moving uncontrollably. Hours passed. She kept dancing. Her feet bled. Her body shook. Still, she did not stop. By the next day, people gathered to watch. By the 3rd day, others joined her. Men, women, old, young, all dancing, day and night. Some screamed, some cried. Their bodies moved even when their minds begged them to stop. Within a month, over 400 people were dancing.